You've seen the movies. The hero stumbles out of the burning wasteland exhausted and alone, and finds a miracle, a bustling survivor camp, inside a shopping mall or a fortified stadium. There are children playing with a stick, a guy fixing a generator, a communal pot of stew bubbling over a fire, and a benevolent leader giving a speech about hope. It looks like safety, it looks like the restart of civilization. But if you walk into that camp in real life, you haven't found salvation, you have just walked into a biological time bomb. That is ticking down to zero. The movies lie to you. They tell you that humanity survives by coming together, holding hands and singing songs. The math says something very different. The math says that, in a total collapse scenario, every new handshake is a death sentence. Let's be clear about one thing before we hurt your feelings. You are a social animal. Your brain is wired to seek out a tribe, because for 10,000 years being alone meant being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. But the rules of the game have changed. The predators aren't tigers anymore. The predators are starvation dysentery, and the guy standing next to you, who just realized you have better boots than he does, the instinct to group up is the first thing that will get you killed. Today, we are going to look at the brutal arithmetic of survival communities, why your best friend is actually your biggest liability, and why the smartest number of people to have is probably fewer than you have fingers on one hand. Let's start with the calorie trap. This is simple thermodynamics. An average adult male, under stress, carrying gear, digging latrines and shivering in the cold, needs about 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. One can of beans or one handful of cattails. To get through the day, it's hard but it's manageable. Now let's say you decide to be a hero and start a group of 10 people. Suddenly your daily requirement isn't 3,000 calories, it is 3,000 calories. Do you know what 3,000 calories looks like? That is not a squirrel, that is 2 full-sized deer every single week, stripped to the bone. In a collapse, the grocery stores are empty in 3 days. The local wildlife is hunted to extinction in 3 weeks. If you have 10 people, you are not a survival group. You are a swarm of locusts. You have to move constantly just to feed the machine. And here is the kicker: calories do not scale linearly. Scavenging for 10 people is not 10 times harder than scavenging for 1. It is 100 times harder. Why? Because of the depletion radius. You deplete the local area instantly. You have to travel further out, burning more calories to find food, which means you need even more food to replace the energy you burned finding the food. It is a thermodynamic death spiral. You are running on a treadmill that is getting faster every second, and eventually the physics will catch up, and you will starve. But starvation is slow. Let's talk about what kills you fast. Let's talk about the hygiene bomb. When you are alone, waste management is easy. You dig a hole, you do your business. You cover it up and you walk away. The bacteria stays in the hole, but put 50 people in a gymnasium or a bunker. Now you have 50 people producing waste every single day. That is roughly 25 pounds of biological hazard, accumulating every 24 hours. In a grid-down scenario, the toilets don't flush. The water doesn't run. Living in close quarters without modern plumbing, it's called a cholera ward. One person forgets to wash their hands because the water is running low. That person touches the communal ladle for the soup pot. 6 hours later, half your group is vomiting and dehydrated. 24 hours later, they are dead. Large groups breed disease at an exponential rate. In the Middle Ages, armies didn't die from swords. They died because they were shitting in the same river they drank from. If you invite strangers into your camp, you are inviting their bacteria, their parasites, and their poor hygiene habits. You are building a petri dish and sleeping inside it. Then there is the noise signature. A single person can move through a city like a ghost. You can sleep in a closet, cook a small meal with a smokeless flame, and vanish before anyone knows you were there. 10 people. 10 people are a marching band. 10 people stomp, 10 people argue, 10 people cough, snore, and drop things. You cannot hide a group. You have a footprint, you have a smell. You create a pattern of life, visible from a mile away. In a collapse, there are 2 types of people: the hiders and the hunters. The hunters are the ones who didn't prepare, the ones who have guns but no food. They are looking for easy targets. A large group looks like a fortress to you, but to a raider it looks like a loot drop. A large group implies resources, it implies stockpiles, it attracts attention. And once you are found, the siege begins. You think your numbers will help you defend. Maybe, but defense is static. You are stuck in one place guarding your pile of beans, while the attackers can move, probe, and wait. They only have to get lucky once. You have to be lucky every single second. The psychology, the Kevin factor. In our modern world, we tolerate useless people. We carry them. Kevin from accounting doesn't do much, but he's nice, so we keep him around. In survival, Kevin is a tumor. There is a concept called the free rider problem. In any group larger than about 6 people, individuals start to slack off. They assume someone else will gather the firewood. They assume someone else checked the perimeter. They hide in the back during the work. You think the threat is outside the walls. No, the threat is sitting across the fire from you, wondering why he has to take orders from you. When the hunger sets in, the social contract dissolves. People revert to their base instincts. The nice guy who used to lend you his lawnmower, he will look at your children and see calorie competitors. Betrayal is a mathematical certainty in large groups, because loyalty is expensive and nobody can afford it anymore. And we haven't even discussed the panic cascade. Humans are herd animals. We mimic emotional states. If one person screams, everyone's heart rate spikes. If one person breaks and runs, the defensive line collapses. In a high-stress situation, a large group effectively shares the IQ of its dumbest member. You are not utilizing the collective wisdom. You are subject to the collective panic of the mob. All it takes is one person shouting, "They're inside!" And your organized militia turns into a stampede of terrified animals trampling each other to get to the exit. So, if groups are death traps, what is the answer? Do you go full hermit? No, being alone is dangerous, because you have to sleep eventually. The answer lies in the specific ruthless math. The magic number is 4, maybe 5, never more than 6. 4 people can fit in a single set-in. 4 people can sleep in a standard room. To conserve heat, 4 people can consume a large animal before the meat spoils. But most importantly, 4 people allows for a 24-hour watch schedule. In a group of 4, there is nowhere to hide. You cannot be a free rider. If you don't pull your weight, it is immediately obvious, and you are immediately corrected or ejected. This small cell structure is how special forces operate. It is how insurgencies survive. It is how wolf packs hunt. They don't roam in herds of 50. They roam in tight, highly efficient family units, where everyone has a job, everyone has a lethal skill set. Stop fantasizing about rebuilding Rome. Stop trying to save everyone. Your altruism is a luxury you left behind in the old world. If you want to survive, you need to be exclusive. You need to be mean. You need to look at a stranger and not see a potential friend, but a potential vector for disease. Build your circle small, keep it closed. And when the desperate crowds come knocking on your door, begging for help, begging to join your safety, you have to do the hardest thing in the world. You have to keep the door locked. Because the moment you open it, you aren't saving them. You are just drowning yourself. Survival isn't about being the nice guy. It's about being the guy who is still breathing when the dust settles. Do the math, cut the dead weight, and remember, in the apocalypse,